Greetings. In Guyana, advocates in inclusive education and special education have been historically seen as those individuals or groups who stand up for the needs of children with learning difficulties, such as physical disabilities and or mental health illnesses. The purpose of this presentation is to highlight the findings from a case study that was done, advocacy in special education. The presentation takes the form, the layout of who can be an advocate, functions of an advocate, different types of advocates, challenges as an advocate, points for improvement or recommendation, tips for special education advocates. Who can be an advocate? Anyone can advocate for any person. According to Marza 1992, the term advocate is a verb that means to speak, plead, or argue in favor of. One that argues for a cause, a supporter or defender, advocate of civil rights. One that pleads on behalf, an intercessor, and advocates for abuse, children and spouses, a lawyer. Functions of advocate. In research from Wright 2020, an advocate performs several functions: supports, helps, assists, and aids. They speak and plead on behalf of others, those persons who might not know what to say. They're the voice for those persons. They defend and argue for people or causes, persons that might be ashamed or afraid to speak up. They are the voices or the representative for those individuals. Different types of advocates. First, we have the lay advocates. The lay advocates help parents resolve problems with their children's education. Mostly advocates are knowledgeable about legal rights and responsibilities. In some states, lay advocates represent parents in due process hearings for children with special educational needs. And two, educational advocates. Some educational advocates negotiate for services. Others are less familiar with special education law and how to use tactics and strategies to get a child the service they want. The challenges as an advocate. After interviewing one of our popular known advocates here in Guyana, Mr. Ganesh Singh, he highlighted some of the following challenges as an advocate for inclusive education. 1. No wheelchair ramps for persons with wheelchair. Challenge of employment. Persons who are disabled are most times, it's hard for them to find a job. Not all children with disability have access to education. And this is so because of various reasons. One, their parents might not be comfortable with sending them into inclusive classroom. Two, because of the far distance. Three, because of where schools, special needs schools are actually located. Limited trained teachers. To this point, we can commend the government for taking the initiative of having teachers trained in special education. For too long, we've been working on trial and error because we have never been trained, or teachers were not trained specifically in special education to specialize in that field and to be able to better reach to these learners. Discrimination. Persons who have disability oftentimes are being discriminated because of their appearance, how they speak, how they look. Transportation is also a great challenge. Points for improvement or recommendation. First, the government should begin with installing wheelchair ramps at all public buildings. There should be a sticker law as it relates to hiring and firing of disabled persons. Conduct frequent census of special needs pupils and their progress in life, and ensure that all teachers are exposed, trained in the field. And lastly, the government should put the law in place to penalize anyone who discriminates against someone with a special ability. Tips for special educational advocates. You might be thinking of entering into this new realm of becoming an advocate. Now, research shown from Howie have identified some tips for special education advocates. Good advocates facilitate the IEP process. They know what they want, they plan for it, and because it's a process, it goes step by step. Good advocates know the child and understand the disability. An advocate will take the time out to get to understand what is the disability and what they can do to help that individual. They try to reduce existing barriers between the parent and the school. Some parents might have some barriers in sending their children to the inclusive classroom because they might feel the children will be mocked and laughed at. And so an advocate will try to reach out to these parents and encourage them that when they do send their children out, they will be represented if this is to happen. Good advocates are willing to admit mistakes and apologize. Oftentimes, it's hard for us to admit that we have made a mistake, but it's always the best way to go. And a good advocate will always say when they're wrong and what they will do to correct that wrong. A good advocate hone their listening skills to a fine edge. This is simple. They are ear to everyone. They listen to everything because we know listening can help us identify truly what persons are experiencing. And even listening will tell us even the unspoken words that people might say. Good advocates learn the art of negotiation. Good advocates understand special and general education. Special and general educational law and the interrelationship between these and other laws. They know the book. They know a good advocate must know the book. And this is so because if they are standing for something, they must know what it is all about. So when they're asked questions, they'll be able to answer. Not off of their head, but based on the laws that governs the country. A good advocate knows that understanding the law is different from quoting the law. Now, knowing the law and understanding the law is two different things. And even though in Guyana we might not have a law as yet to cater for special educational learners, there are policies, and a good advocate will take the time to understand and read between every fine line what the policies have highlighted and what they would want to change in the educational system for these learners. Good advocates understand the importance of ethical behavior in their practice. Even though most times persons might get us upset and angry, a good advocate will know how to retaliate with that individual or persons. They will not lash out and behave as if they're crazy. They will approach the situation in a just way. Good advocates treat others the way they would like to be treated. And so we know the good book tells us, we do unto those we would like them to do for us. So a good advocate will do what they would want someone to do in return for them. Thank you.